Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1134, Anderson versus Schultz.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Anderson, this is your daughter.
Yes.
And you're here as a nominal plaintiff because you are the owner of the car that was involved in an accident with the defendant's daughter.
Yes.
You were not present. You were not present at the accident. There were other passengers in the car, but you're merely here as owners of the vehicle, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm going to start with you. Tell me your first name.
Winter Anderson,
Winter, what was the date of this accident?
July 27th, 2021.
What time?
Around 6.
6 p.m.
Yes.
Who was in the car with you?
My friend Alana.
Where had you been?
We were just up by the mall shopping around Target and driving home.
And you're how old?
I'm 16.
Ever been in an accident before?
No.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 2013 Chevy Cruze.
Is that the family car?
No.
Was that car purchased for her?
Yes.
When?
March of 2021,
Do you remember how much it cost?
$5,900.
Is there an outstanding loan on the car?
No loans.
Okay. Your first name is?
Jaden,
And how old are you, Jaden?
17.
And who were you in the car with on July 27th, 2021?
My boyfriend Jackson.
Is that this person?
Yep.
Anybody else in the car with you?
Nope, just us.
You were driving?
Yes,
Boyfriend in the passenger front seat.
yes.
Where were you coming from?
His hair appointment downtown.
Where had you been before that?
His house,
What time did you get to his house that day?
I was living there with him, so we had been there since the day before.
How long had you been living with him at his house?
We had been there for about a month,
Who's we?
just me and him and then his foster mom.
Who were you living with before you lived with him?
I was living with a family friend
Where did you get this car from?
for my mom.
When?
I think she had brought it to me the day before.
Day before what?
The day before the crash. We were just using it
What were you borrowing it for?
so that we could go get Jackson's hair done the next day.
Okay, prior to that, you didn't have the car?
No.
Okay. The next day, his haircut appointment was what time?
We got done at 3:30 and it took 3.5 hours, so noon.
And you were finished at 3:30?
Yes.
Where did you go from there?
I believe we went
Just
to
a second. Just a second. Stand up. Your first name is?
Jackson.
Stand over there. After your hair appointment was over at 3:30, where did you go?
We were just in town driving around. We was about to head back to my house.
You were just driving around. Don't look at anything. Look over here. Right here.
Sorry, ma'am.
3:30. Think carefully, Jackson. You went and had your hair done
Yep.
for 3.5 hours, from 12 to 3:30. God, that's a long time. Doesn't even take me that long to get my hair done, and I'm about 5 times older than you are. So at 3:30, you left the hairdresser,
Right.
and it was you and your girlfriend.
Yep. Correct.
Not yep, that's a yes, perfect.
Yes.
She was driving because she had borrowed the car from her mother just for the purpose of taking you to the hairdresser.
Yep. Correct.
So after the hairdresser, was your girlfriend supposed to return the car to her mother?
Yeah, we were headed that way, headed towards the camper, and then headed back out towards my house,
Headed towards,
Hermantown, where we live.
you were going to return the car to her?
Yep.
What,
Yeah.
yes, what time were you supposed to return the car to her?
Say like 5-ish
So after the hairdresser, where did you go?
to the camper.
To the camper.
Yeah,
What camper?
where her mom stays.
Her mom stays in a camper. So you went to her mother's house? Is that on the way to her mother's house? Is that where the accident happened?
Yes, ma'am.
But the accident happened at 6 o'clock, and you were finished at 3:30. Is that what the police report indicates, that the accident happened at 6 o'clock?
The police report actually says 7:50. The time on my phone said 6:17, but they could have issued it later than that. So around 6:07.
So what I want to know is, what were you doing sort of in between? You didn't go right back to the camper. You went someplace else.
We didn't have a certain location that we went to.
You were just driving around?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you speak to anyone else?
No, ma'am.
You didn't go to anyone else's house?
No, ma'am.
So the only people in the car, according to you, Jackson, between the time her mother dropped the car off at her house and the time of the accident, the only 2 people in the car were you and your girlfriend.
No, we was with a friend too.
Ah, now, Jackson, now you're getting to it. Now you're getting smart. Now the smart part of Jackson is hitching up, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Been here a long time. Now you had a friend in the car. When did you find this friend and where? Is not an answer. Jackson,
Picked him up,
where did you pick him up?
his house, him and his girlfriend.
Shh. At what point in the day did you pick your friend up in the car? Before or after your hairdresser's appointment?
Before.
So in the 3 hours that you were getting your hair done, your girlfriend was with your friend.
No, Your Honor.
It's going to get more complicated, Jackson. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll all come together, folks. Just hang in there. So let's go back, Jackson. Where did you get your friend from and what time?
His house, and to be honest with you, ma'am, I don't have a certain time.
Was it before or after you had your hair done?
Before.
So then if it was before you had your hair done, your friend had to be hanging around with your girlfriend for the 3.5 hours that it took to have your hair done.
Yes, we did not drop him off, though.
What do you mean you didn't drop him off?
He left. He got picked up.
He left from the hairdresser shop.
Yes, and got picked up.
Okay, now what was his name?
That I do not wish to say.
I don't give a rat's behind what you wish to say. You picked him up at his house, which means someone had to have contacted him. You had to contact him, or he had to contact you via your cell phone. So that means you have his number and he has yours, and it would be on your cell phone. From that date, in July, what was his name?
His name is...
What's his phone number? That's in your phone.
No, it's...
Take out your phone.
I just recently got a new phone. like,
Now it's going to all come together to everybody.
I got it.
Okie dokie. Say nothing else. My boyfriend left the scene because he had a potential warrant out for his arrest.
He ran because he was on probation and he was scared to get into trouble. That is why.
Just a second. I'm not finished.
Bradley Anderson and his 16-year-old daughter, Winter, claimed Courtney Schultz and her 17-year-old daughter, Jaden, owe for car damages after Jaden ran a red light and hit Winter.
By the way, what did you think you had a warrant out for your arrest for on July?
I did
what did
not
you
have a
think?
warrant
Just
out.
a second. That's not my question. What did you think that you had an outstanding warrant for on the date of the accident?
ma'am, I did not think I had an outstanding warrant. I know I did not.
Just a second. Your last name is?
Schultz.
Miss Schultz. Do you take any psychotropic medication?
Take what?
Psychotropic medication.
No, but.
For mental illness?
No.
No. So you don't suffer from delusions?
No.
Who wrote the answer to this case and swore to the answer in this case? Who did? Did you or did your daughter?
Wrote the answer.
The answer. Well, who signed it? Let's see. Let's look at here and see who signed it. Just, who signed that?
And that was before we...
Shut! I asked you a simple
we
question.
both signed it.
Both signed it.
Yep.
You both read English, I assume.
Yes.
Okay.
They went over
Judge,
it. They went over it with
I don't
us.
care whether they went over it. It's a quarter of a page. So you read it, you signed it, and you swore to it. Now, so I want to know who wrote this?
Neither.
You or your daughter? Well, somebody had to say who wasn't suffering from delusions. Oh, it was the daughter who wrote it because it says, my mother's 2017 Nissan Rogue was destroyed. My boyfriend and witness had a potential warrant out for his arrest. Now, just a second. That's what she said. So when the person who wrote this said, my boyfriend and witness had a potential warrant out for his arrest, that's not saying he had some sort of a communicable disease. That's not saying he left his dog home or he left the light on under the chicken, whatever. I mean, I would never say that. That my boyfriend left the scene because he had a potential warrant out for his arrest.
That was misunderstood.
Just misunderstood by
Yes,
whom?
He ran because he was on probation and he was scared to get into trouble. that is why.
Just a second. I'm not finished. Okay, so now you're traveling and your car gets clipped at an intersection.
Yes.
Makes a turn, goes across to another lane, slams up against a divider, and is totaled.
Yes.
And it is your statement that you had a green light.
Yes.
Now, you're the driver of the car, And now it's going to all come together. And you say you were minorly distracted because somebody left a gun in your car. And just a second, that's what it says here. You can't make this up. You were temporarily distracted because somebody whose last name he doesn't remember, but whose address he knows, whose phone number he knows, which he can't tell me because he got a new phone.
That's not how they communicated.
That's not what you communicated.
That's not how.
Was there a gun in the car?
I said that's not how they communicated.
Just a second. Was there a gun in the car?
Yes, I said there was.
Okie dokie. And at the accident, when the cars came to a stop, Jackson took off. And you say she was the one who ran through a red light, but you say you were minorly distracted because there was a gun in the car, that you and your boyfriend just saw that there was a gun in the car, and you were shocked. Now, where was this gun?
It was in the back seat, Jackson.
Okie dokie. Now, you're driving along. Boyfriend is in the passenger seat. You're driving. What made you look in the back seat?
I didn't. Jackson looked in the back seat to grab a sweater and
Just a
realized
second.
that it was back there.
Jackson, you looked in the back seat for a sweater.
Yep.
Yep, in July. In July.
In Minnesota,
Yes.
In
ma'am.
July.
We live in Minnesota.
In July?
Yep.
In July at 6 o'clock, you looked in the back seat for a sweater.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you
that's what I'm
find a
telling you.
Just a second. Did you find a sweater?
Yes, I did.
Good. And the gun was under the sweater.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that had to be your friend.
It was his girlfriend's gun.
Just a second. Well, the girlfriend wasn't in the car.
Yes, he said that.
The girlfriend wasn't in the car. You said nothing about the girlfriend being in the car. You said you only picked up one friend from his house. That's what you said. You got to get your story straight.
You just didn't listen. You cut him off before he could finish.
Mr. Schultz.
I'm not happy about this situation.
Mr. Schultz.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to understand something. If you continue to make excuses for her and her poor choices, this is where you're going to spend the next 20 years before a judge. Do you understand? It may be in situations like this. It may be because you're going to have to take care of children for a lot of other reasons. But if you continue to make excuses for this and believe this nonsense, then you're going to be before people like me, probably much nicer, but before people like me who are sitting here in a robe for the next 20, 25 years. Is that what you want?
Obviously, that's not what I want.
Obviously not. That's not what you want. So.
But I also know when I got the phone call right away, what was told to me, when I was told what happened.
You have to understand something. When her mouth moves, she's lying. When her mouth moves, she's lying. She took your car the day before. It's probably your only means of transportation. You lent her the car for the sole purpose of taking the boyfriend for a haircut. Is that correct?
And so she could use it for whatever they were going to do. I trusted her with my car, and I still trust her with my car.
That's terrific.
If she was going to lie to me, why would she lie to me about there being a gun in the car? I mean, they told me this.
Why would she lie to you? Because there were witnesses that called the police. That's why she would lie to you. Can I see the police report, please?
Yes. I'd like to see it too, please. I've not seen it.
Yeah, neither have I.
I tried to get it, and it wasn't ready. So I would like to see it myself.
What I'm telling you is, if you continue to listen to stuff that doesn't make sense, you said to me there wasn't an outstanding warrant for his arrest. Maybe it was a probation violation. Okay, probation violation. Well, probation violation isn't something that you're born with.
No.
You're not born with a probation violation.
Though.
Just a second. You're not born with a probation violation. A probation violation means that you've been convicted of a crime and placed on probation as a sentence. And if you're in a car and there's a gun in the car, that's a violation of your probation in most jurisdictions.
Understood.
Do you understand? So you understand that your 17-year-old daughter is with somebody who's on probation.
My boyfriend, to be exact.
Just a second. Who's on probation for a conviction.
Correct.
And is in a car, your car.
Yes.
With a gun. Brought there, he says, by a friend's girlfriend. So I want you to figure out, by a friend's girlfriend. Now, I've had a lot of passengers in my car. I'm 78 years old. I've had a lot of passengers in my car. You? You?
Yes.
You?
Yes, ma'am.
I bet you if I ask all of us who probably have a combined age of 200, whether they ever had a friend who left a gun in the back of their car under a sweater.
Yeah, you should know what's in
Yeah.
your vehicle at all times, and
What I'm telling you is, if something doesn't make sense, even though you may love her, when you remember, what's his name? When you remember his last name and the name of his girlfriend, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, I don't want to see the hand. I don't want to hear you anymore. That's what happened. They know that that's what happened. You ran. There were witnesses. Now I'm reading the police report. You can sit down unless you raise your hand. And if you raise your hand, the only reason you're raising your hand is if you remember last name and his girlfriend's name.
and they actually.
May I ask you a question?
I'm reading something. Don't speak. Your daughter, who, when her mouth moves, you have to find it suspect, told them wasn't her fault. Did you tell the insurance company that the plaintiff ran a red light?
Those were not my words, no.
You know, now I know where she gets it from.
"16-year-old Winter Anderson has accused 17-year-old Jaden Schultz of running a red light and crashing into her car.
Now, just so that you know, the police interviewed a witness, because this is not per her statement, because there were witnesses to this that called the police.
Right, it was right downtown.
There were witnesses that called the police. On 727, Schultz, that would be her, was driving through the intersection at Mall and Maple Grove Road. She had a solid red light at the time she drove through the intersection, per the witness's statement. Schultz, while in the intersection, hit Anderson, who was driving. Anderson had a solid green light. No injuries were reported at the crash. Other criminal charges were found for a passenger in Schultz's car. That would be he.
Right.
And those charges were possession of a gun.
That's false.
No, the charges were a probation violation.
And they were dropped.
Yup.
Because the person who had the gun in the car
It was
Claimed
legal.
it.
claimed their gun and said that they...
Just a second. I don't know any of that. It doesn't say any of that in here. So if that's the story, I don't know any of it. All I know is he ran with the gun.
I mean, he's on
He
probation.
ran with the gun after the accident.
And that was really dumb.
Just a second. And from what I hear in both the complaint and the answer, your daughter was taken out of the car, placed in the back of a police car.
Yes.
I assume until they got the name of Jackson.
No, until they detained him. They knew who it was.
They
Knew who it was. They just put me in the back of the car until he was found and detained.
Just a second. How did they know who he was?
Because
Just
she
a-
told them.
Because I told them who ran.
You told them who he was.
I mean, that's kind of what you do when the police ask, who just ran out that car?
Well, they wouldn't have actually cared if he was just a passenger in the car unless somebody said that he was running away from the car with a gun.
I mean, when there's
Just a
another
second.
bystander
Just a
chasing after him, I'm pretty sure.
You know, I'm listening to you. It's hysterical. Aren't you listening to what's always
Yeah,
somebody
she's
else's
telling
fault?
the truth. She
Aren't
told
you
the police.
Oh
No,
my
I don't
God.
think it's hysterical.
This
I think it's
country
a
is in
crock of
such
crap.
trouble.
I think the whole
We
thing
are
is.
in such...
Do you think I'm happy about this? My car's totaled.
We are in such trouble. They paid you for your car.
Excuse me?
Did your insurance company give you any money for your car?
No, I still owe on my car that I
No,
don't have.
no. That's not what I asked you. I said, did your insurance company give you any money? Don't show me your paper.
I'm showing you
I'm
the insurance
asking
papers.
you, did your... I asked you a question.
They did not fully cover my car.
I didn't
no.
ask you fully. I said, did your insurance company give you